All right, here we go. It is episode 26 of the Bet Parks Presents the OGs podcast. Harry Mays, Jason Martinez. And here we go. We got a lot to discuss. We're in our summer schedule, Har, so it's every other week.
Yeah.
So you'd think we'd have like this be inundated with topics of discussion, but it's summertime and not much happens.
Yeah, not much happening. I mean, the most discussion right now is in the world of golf, believe it or not, with this rival tour, taking players away from the PGA Tour. It's one of the biggest stories right now in sports. I know we just had the NBA Finals wrapped up. We got the Stanley Cup, which gets going again, I believe, tonight, right, with Game 4. Yep. And Tampa's trying to make that a series, which didn't look like much of one after that Game 2 game. We'll talk about all that, but not a whole lot. We got the drafts coming up in the NBA and the NHL here in the next week or so. So, and then pretty soon, football.
Yeah, it's crazy because we're sitting here on the 22nd of June, and basically in a calendar month's time, training camps will be opening.
Right.
That's bananas.
It is bananas, but it's great. I mean, you kind of need a month or two to sort of decompress before you got to get back into the grind. And we love the grind of football, but it is a grind because, I know you watch some college and I watch all the college in addition to the NFL. And it's a hefty time commitment to watch all these games and then to talk about them, but it's 5-6 months of straight, big time sports.
Yeah, and it leads right into obviously the NHL, the NBA, and the college hoops.
Yep.
It's bananas, like everything that starts to take place. So you have like this month to just unplug. If you want to pay attention to baseball, go for it. If you want to pay attention to the NBA draft, go for it. The NHL draft or free agency periods.
Right.
I mean, look, the NBA draft to me has lost so much luster.
Yeah, well, especially because the Sixers don't have a top pick.
And everybody just moves around anyway. So
right,
it doesn't matter where you're drafted. That's just a placeholder in a lot of situations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
same with free agency.
Their pick is 23rd, and they'll probably end up trading it.
Yeah,
I guess they're trying to move Matisse Thybulle. He's fallen out of favor, and there's a chip that they can use to move that and a draft pick and maybe open up some cap space. I guess where I guess they're pursuing PJ Tucker. Apparently, there's mutual interest there. He's got experience with Daryl Morey, with the Houston Rockets, and he's an old player. He's in his entering his late 30s, and I get all that, but the guy still plays a lot of minutes. I think he played like 27 minutes a game. Or close to it for Miami last year. And he's an interesting player because he's one of those glue guys that I think you need, if you're going to be a team that's going to go deep in the playoffs. He's a pest, too. He's one of those guys on the other team where you're like, man, I don't like that guy because he's a pain in the ass. But when he's on your team, you love him, and I think he'll fit in. He'd fit in really well here if they did bring him here at the power forward spot and really help Joel Embiid out.
Yeah, they maybe need to grab another guy from Miami, though, and bring him back, and that would be Jimmy Butler.
Oh, I'd love that.
Daryl Morey could find a way.
Yeah.
I don't even know if there's such things in the NBA as overpay, because you just brought it up. Like, Matisse Thybulle's already fallen out of favor. And I remember when I was doing the show with Anthony, he was like, Matisse.
Yeah.
Everybody
he's untouchable.
Yeah,
you can't trade him.
And Reese Hoskins untouchable.
Right.
Untouchable.
Yeah,
What?
my ass.
Nothing's untouchable. Real quick before we continue, let's tell the people about the Bet Parks app. You had the Open last week. I know your buddy made the cut.
Yeah, he made the cut, and then he shot 9 over and 7 over on Saturday, Sunday, and finished near the bottom of the pile that made the cut. But still, I think making the cut in that event is such a huge deal. You go through all the rigors of qualifying for it, which he did. And then to make it was tremendous experience. The check that he got, isn't bad for finishing in the 50s, compared to what they're making out on the Korn Ferry Tour. So, but he's back at it up in Maine on the Korn Ferry Tour this weekend. But making the cut was a big deal. And it was a tremendous event. We had a lot of drama, came right down, the back nine with Scotty Scheffler, the number one player in the world, and Will Zalatoris, who seems like he's in every major, in the final group or close to it, finishing second in the first 3 majors this year. And then, of course, Matthew Fitzpatrick, the young Englishman, finally gets his first win on the PGA Tour, and it happens to be the U.S. Open on the same golf course where he won the U.S. Amateur back in 2013, becoming only the third person in history to ever do that. Win the amateur and then win the Open on the same golf course. Jack Nicklaus did it. Matthew Fitzpatrick has done it. And don't forget about Julie Inkster did it for women's golf way back in the day. So a tremendous achievement.
Yeah, tremendous. And the golf season's been great so far. It's been great to bet on as well.
Yeah.
Along with the Hoops finals and the Cup final, which is still going on. Game 4, like you mentioned, is coming up tonight. 2-1 series lead. Can Tampa hold serve at home at Emily Arena tonight and get that all tied up at 2 games apiece? We shall see. But tons to get your action in on, including Major League Baseball. And like we said, football is just around the corner. Take it from me and Harry. The BetParks app is fantastic. It's everything you've wanted in a mobile casino and a sports book, and it's right in your pocket. It's simple to use, easy to sign up, faster to win than ever before. And all BetParks users right now can use that promo code Jason750, Jason750, and that's going to get you a risk-free bet up to an industry high $750. Terms and conditions do apply. So download the new BetParks app today. You do need to be over 21 and present in Pennsylvania or New Jersey.
Yeah.
So where's the PGA Tour's next big stop, Harry? Is that the British Open?
Well, yeah, that's the next major championship. It's the last one of the season, and then they have the playoffs in February. But they got a good event this week. They're up in Cromwell, Connecticut, right outside Hartford for the Travelers.
Oh, that's always a good one. Yeah.
That's a really good one. It's a fun golf course. There's a really good field, and I'm looking at a guy like Stu Cink. Stuart Cink has won on this golf course twice in his history. Now he's in his mid to late 40s now, but he's had a resurgence, had a renaissance here in the last year or two. He's plus 600 or thereabouts for a top 20. I think that is too juicy to lay off. That's one bet that I'm looking at. And another guy named Aaron Wise, who has been playing some really good golf. He has one.
Not Bill Wise.
No. Aaron Wise plus 450 for a top 10 are two that I'm looking at right now.
All right. So you got the Travelers this weekend.
Yep.
The NBA is in the rear view. Draft coming up on Thursday.
But the Phillies, too. If you've been betting the Phillies here of late, since Joe Girardi got served his walking papers, they're 14-4 by my account under this new manager, Mr. Thompson. So if you've been betting them on the BetParks app, you've been coming up with a lot of cash, building a bankroll.
The Major League Baseball is going to go the way of the NHL. Fire the coach in season for that surge.
Right. Isn't
in
that
the
amazing?
standings.
It's really incredible. They've scored 114 runs in the 18 games since
nuts.
Girardi was let go. Girardi won his last game. It was that last game against San Francisco. They won that. Then they had the day off the next day, and that's when they whacked him. And Thompson took over one of his bench coaches, and 14-4, they're averaging over 6 runs a game since then.
Now, Howard, why do you think that all of a sudden they're hit? As Larry Bowa likes to say, now they're heating.
Yeah. I don't know. I got no answer for it. I mean, did they dislike Girardi that much? I've heard some things that he wasn't a good communicator with the players, which I find really preposterous, given where he came from and all his experience. Maybe it's just a change of voice, or maybe a looser atmosphere. I don't really know. I'm not down there. I'm not in the room, afterwards talking to the fellas, but thus far it's been a great move.
It's weird because professional athletes are supposed to be, ambivalent to that, to voice and all of those things, but it's clearly not the case because you see it in so many sports that when a new coach comes in, it changes the dynamic in such a way. And,
right.
And most often
is it sustainable though? That's the thing. I mean, 14-4 is nice, but we're not even at the All-Star break yet. I mean, there's a ton of baseball left to be played, and they're still behind a couple games in the wild card. The crazy thing is they've been doing this while the Atlanta Braves have been on an unbelievable run, and they haven't been able to gain on them, because they've been winning, seems like every game.
Yeah, they're still 8 games back in the division and 3 games back in the wild card, despite going 14-4. Now, you look at that and you go, okay, well, if they didn't go 14-4, they didn't fire Girardi, whatever, they'd be buried. It'd be over.
Yeah, it'd be over. Yeah.
At
least they're keeping people interested here. During this time, we were talking about when football starts and they can make it fun here through the July 4th holiday and on into later July near the trade deadline. Make it interesting, keep people in, at least until football. That they've done a good job.
See, that's how I look at baseball now.
Yeah.
That's baseball's role in my life.
Right.
Just keep some level of interest or intrigue until training camp starts. Then I don't give a shit. I don't care what happens with the rest of your season. I really don't.
Well, I mean,
I actually don't care now. But
if they are playing great and it continues, it's just another thing to sort of pick up. Baseball is a bandwagon sport for me at this point in my life, and with my relationship with the game. Anybody that's been listening to me for all these years knows that I've soured on the way the game evolved. I'll say it's devolved, but they've evolved. Agreed. And I haven't gone with it. So I'm now a bandwagon baseball guy. So, if the Phillies continue to do this, I will become interested, at least until football. But if they continue through, then it's just something else to enjoy.
It's another log on the fire.
Right.
But it's not one of those big logs on the bottom that keep the fire going.
Right. They're the ones
that
are
log
like
burns
big
out,
orange, big and orange.
Big. Yeah. A stump. Right. The old lady's always building crazy fires, and I start building a fire. She's like, "Yeah, get out of there."
Yeah, she just takes over.
Yeah.
Now, is that emasculating for you?
Not at all. I don't give a shit. Nothing's emasculating anymore because I don't care. Like,
right.
I'm 50 now. Like, there's very little I give a shit about anymore.
Right. Well, both of our wives make way more money than we do at this point, right? And I'm totally cool. I'm totally cool with that.
Oh.
You just go out there and keep earning.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
Hey, if you want to go out and get a raise, go ahead.
Hey, go ahead. Knock yourself out.
You want to bring home more dough? Right. No problem. If you want to widen the gap between what you're earning and what I'm earning, I'm all for it.
I'm all for it. Exactly right. I'm like these guys on the Live Tour that are leaving the PGA Tour. I want to work less and make more.
Yeah,
and somehow I'm trying to make that work.
Yeah. I feel like my wife is now like a capo in the Soprano crime family. She's an earner.
She's a good earner.
Yes. As long as she doesn't get clipped, we're good to go. I'll ride it.
Right.
Now, I guess I just need now the gumad.
Oh, yeah. Great.
Or I guess she does.
Yeah.
She's
exactly.
Maybe she has one. That'll take me off the hook as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Less responsibility, Jason.
Absolutely. Let me ask you about Steph Curry real quick. Because in the early part of his career, there was something about Steph Curry that irritated me. It was that faux tough look and that he would try and put on. And I'm like, this guy's not tough. But for some reason, it just rubbed me the wrong way. But in watching him now, and they win another NBA title, and this guy, I mean, you see records just falling around him like it's just insane because he is, in my opinion, and many people's opinion, the greatest shooter to ever play in the NBA or ever walk this planet. Where do you put Steph Curry in the all-time greats, Harry?
Oh, he's definitely in the all-time greats. I don't make lists, but he's on the list. And you could make a case that he is the greatest shooter in professional basketball history. I mean, you think about the other ones, Reggie Miller comes to mind. Ray Allen comes to mind. He's better than those guys. I mean, this guy has in the gym range. It seems like anytime he gets the ball near half court, he's looking to put it up. He's got such a quick release. If you watch him, he's constant motion because he's got to run around all over the place to get open. He's not a very physical player, so he's got to deal with guys being physical on him, and he doesn't seem to wear down. In the fourth quarter when his team needs him the most. He's the focal point, and as always, since Durant left, he's been the only real focal point. Klay Thompson is back, and that's good to see, but he's a diminished Klay Thompson at this point with all the injuries that he's sustained. They got Poole, they've got Wiggins, they've got some other guys, but the focus is on him each and every night to try to shut him down, which is impossible, or to minimize him. And I think he had a game in the series where he missed every one of his 3-point attempts in that series, which was astonishing to me. But they came back and won. They were obviously the better team. Boston had a great story. Nobody expected this of them during the season. They had a great run to get into the playoffs and a great run to get to the title. But they need both Tatum and Brown to be great on the same night in order for them to really be able to take down a Golden State. And that did not happen. But Steph is an all-timer, and I think I'd put him right now as the best shooter that I've ever seen. And I've watched a lot of professional basketball.
Yeah, and you're right. Like for the Celtics to be able to match that, you just can't match that
Yeah.
game in and game out. It's too big of an ask
Hmm.
to be able to do that because he's an all time great. Now, let me ask you this, Harry: do you still have the same level of like the Celtics are in the NBA Finals?
Yeah.
Do you still have that same level of vitriol and sports hate for the Celtics like you once had?
Oh
For
no.
me, a lot of that, so much of that is diminished.
Yeah. No, that's diminished. I just appreciate, what some of these teams do. I mean, I kind of, you know, I kind of like their coach,
I do too.
Boston. I liked Stevens when he was there too, who's now the
Mhm.
general manager, and is doing a really nice job. I mean, that's a team on the come. That's not just a blip and they're gonna disappear. They're gonna get better. And the Sixers, had better try to keep pace with this. We'll see what they do with reshaping the roster. But no, I don't have that now. That was something that I had as a younger person in my 20s and early 30s, but
Yeah.
that's dissipated over the last decade and a half.
I think part of it is that we see so much other teams in sports now.
Yeah.
Like back when you really hated rivals, whether it was the Cowboys, the Celtics,
Yeah.
the Mets, it felt like you only saw games between your team and that team.
Mm-hmm.
And there was so much, but now there's you can watch every game in every sport
Right.
that it's watered down the rivalry because there's other things out there. That's maybe just my logic and why it isn't that way. Or I don't want to call it evolution because I've been on Twitter
Yeah.
and we're not evolved.
Well, let me ask you. I mean, where are you with the Pittsburgh Penguins these days?
I lost the hate for them a long time ago. Like even Crosby, like
Mm-hmm.
I would watch that guy play hockey every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Yeah.
I don't
And
care.
I
what
love the
jerseys
player or the fans that say, I wouldn't want him on my team.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Then I'm not hiring you as a general manager.
Exactly. Give me that. Give me the pre-concussion Crosby with that big caboose and sit him near the goal any night in a Flyers sweater for me.
And watch how many guys he makes better.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's some guys like I think Malkin is just a dirty bastard.
Yeah.
Great player, has been a great player.
Yeah.
But I don't like him.
Right.
But like Crosby, like I'm fine saying it. I like him. I like the player. I like the way he carries himself.
I like Marchand.
Yeah, I love Marchand.
I mean, I love that guy, the rat. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, I think it's become like more of an appreciation for great players. Like obviously Crosby, Malkin, and Marchand. I think they're all headed to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And they're great players, but I just don't have that kind of same level of hate. Maybe I don't just have the energy for it anymore.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought about that, the energy level. But like this Cale McCarr guy, like I can't watch this guy enough.
Oh my God.
With this Avs team. My goodness.
Yeah, he just jumps into the play, and it's like, seriously, how's this guy never made a forward with his offensive instincts and abilities?
I know, it's tremendous. And I was watching on what was it, Saturday night, the game 2, and how about the energy that Avalanche team came out of the room with from the jump? Tampa had no chance of matching that energy. They never had the puck. I mean, that was a beatdown. I can't remember, and you could probably refresh my memory, because you know hockey way better than I do. But can you remember seeing a Stanley Cup Finals game that was so like sort of a mismatch, and ended up being 7-0? I mean, they hit the over on Colorado alone.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't just that the score was lopsided. Like you'll get lopsided scores once in a while.
Yeah.
It was the demoralizing nature in which Colorado did it.
Right. Which really worried me for Tampa in game 3. Like, what were they going to have? You knew the building was going to be alive and, jumping, and it was. And I watched that just to see what they had at the beginning, and they came out and, to their credit, played like a champion.
Yeah, they did. They really rebounded in that game. And that's the thing. That's where good coaching comes in, because a guy like John Cooper will say, guys, they kick the living shit out of us, but it only counts for one game in the best of 7.
Right.
It doesn't matter whether it's 1-0, 3-2, or 17-0.
Right.
It's all the same. And, if I was a fan of Tampa, I would have been trying to convince myself, yeah, we were down 2-0 against the Rangers and we won 4 straight and won the series. Here we go again. But deep down I would know this is not the same situation as it was with the New York Rangers that it is with the Colorado Avalanche. And I'd be like, we're in real trouble here. This is a mountain much bigger to climb.
I totally agree with you. Were you surprised they didn't pull the goalie on Saturday night?
Well, from what I understand is John Cooper asked him if he wanted to come out after the second, and Vasi said no.
No.
Now, he's played every minute, of every game, 68 now playoff games the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot of mileage.
That's a lot of wear and tear. Yeah. I don't know why I guess he just wants to stay in because I don't know if the streak plays into it. It shouldn't. But if he's a guy that just doesn't like to come out, I mean, I would have probably tried to get Moose in there for a period. Not because I'm going to rely on him to try and win the series, because if I have to go to him, I'm not going to win the series.
Mm-hmm.
But just to give Vasilevsky a blow, but was 20 minutes, a third period, really going to give him that much of a difference? Right. Maybe a little bit, because
I just thought mentally, you don't want the guy to, to start to get down on himself and, and lose his confidence or whatnot. A great goalie like that gets whacked, for 7 goals. I mean, that can be demoralizing.
I think one of the things Cooper said, it's one of the things that he'll use to motivate himself in the next game was, okay, I'm going to see this all the way through. Yeah, you touched me up. But he's not a guy that lets it crumble him. Right. It takes him the other way, which is probably why, he's definitely headed to the Hall of Fame, and he's 27. We already know that.
That's crazy. Coach knows his player. So that, yep. And speaking of coach, I understand you spent time with a new coach the other day.
Yeah, yesterday I was down there. So I originally got the message that Torts was going to meet with the media at noon, and then I was going to do my one-on-one with him after, like around 12:30, 12:45, whatever. So I got there at 11:30 to the practice facility yesterday, but the schedule had changed and I did not get notified.
Oh, jeez.
I didn't sit down with Torts for the one-on-one until 5:15, I was at the barn all day, freezing my fucking bag off. It was cold in there. People were like, yeah, of course it's cold. It's a hockey rink. I go, yeah, but I wasn't expecting to be here 6 hours.
Right.
With nobody on the clean sheet. I'm just looking at both sides of the skate zone, and there's a clean sheet on both sides not being used.
Wow.
I'm like, I wish I would at least brought my wheels. I could have got a skate in.
Exactly.
But I spent some time with him in a couple of different occasions yesterday, including the one-on-one, which you can hear today on today's Flyers Daily, or about 20-minute conversation. And man, I have never met a coach or kind of dealt with an individual in pro sports that was more misinterpreted and misunderstood than John Tortorella.
Right.
There's all of these narratives about him. Mm-hmm. And he's made his bed with a lot of them because of the way he is with the media.
Mm-hmm.
But they seem like they are so far from reality in speaking with him and doing a lot of research on him and talking to guys who played for him.
Hearing from players, yeah.
Yeah, and talking to people about, his systems and all that and the evolution of his – there's this notion that veteran coach retread, games passed him by. He's a dinosaur.
Right.
He's the most progressive coach that's been there since I've been covering the team, and that's all the way back to John Stevens. So that's Stevens, Laviolette. I mean, on and on and on.
Right.
And not that any of those guys were incredibly progressive, but he's way beyond it. And I was so impressed with the guy. Now, I'm a guy that beat the drum for him.
Me too.
Full disclosure.
Right.
I was for John Tortorella, so naturally it's easy for him to win me over.
Mm-hmm.
He won me over. You had me at a low. Right? But I thought he's just talking to him after we got done the interview, because I said to him at the end of the interview, I said, how on God's green earth are you going to now go home and unplug and recharge and get ready for a season? Because he's so amped. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? There's so much to do. He's already got his training camp completely scheduled and done. But there's stuff that is to hire assistant coaches, a lot to do, meetings with every player. He wants to do them all face to face. And he said, I'll just hang out with my animals. So he lives on a farm and he rescues dogs.
Oh,
and
wow.
He said, my greatest fear, told me this off the air, he said, I have a 12-year-old rescue, a 13-year-old rescue. He has other ones as well. He said, my greatest fear with going back to work is that I'm not there when we have to make the decision. to put them down
Mm.
and not be able to be there when they get put down.
Right.
And then my wife will have to do it on her own. And I
Uh-huh.
was like, geez, that's a
Wow.
look. He took a little leave when his dog died when he was in Columbus 2 years ago.
Really?
This guy's just got his shit straight, right?
Yeah.
Like it means something to him, and he's like, my animals don't talk to me. I just hang out with the animals. He goes, and I'll be fine. I'm good to go.
We got to hook him up with JDB for the dog walk.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. But he had like, he's a guy that gets you like pumped up to like run through a wall. Because I think, like I asked him, I said, accountability is a really like nice word. You can talk about it and everything. Because that word only means something in the off season. I said, but the ultimate thing is self accountability, and he went off on that answer. He loved it, right?
Right.
And I just think that he's a guy that, look, he may not win, it may not work. I don't know. Ultimately, you need players, right? You need talent. If he ends up getting the talent and get the most out of him, then he'll have success. But to me, he's a perfect guy to reshape the foundation, the culture, and the standard of the Flyers. He mentioned several times, I got to fix this locker room. This locker room's fractured. He used the word splintered.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. That's
I know he said, that he admired this organization from afar when he was in other places, and had, even referred to back when he came here in 2004 in the conference finals where they beat the Flyers in 7 games, and he went on to win the cup with Tampa, that this was a place where he would love to coach because, the passion for the sport, the city as a sports town and all that kind of thing. So, a lot of people will say, oh, he's just saying that. I kind of believe him.
Yeah, I do too.
And he described the organization as lost and a need of direction, which I thought was great. And he's on point. He is so on point with that. It's not even funny. And, I kind of poke fun at it, but he's right. And they are lost. And maybe he can give them that direction. Hopefully he does. He's a guy, and correct me, but he's a structure guy.
Yep.
He likes structure. He's a defensive minded coach, but he likes structure away from the puck. And for guys to get minutes and to keep playing, they got to show him that they're also interested in that. He's not going to try to make you a mucker, but you got to show that you're committed. Blocking shots has always been a trait of his teams. I remember those Rangers teams. Right. Those Rangers teams that he had were tremendous at blocking shots before they ever even got to Lundqvist or whoever was in net. So that's a commitment to your teammates. That's, take the black and blue, take the bruise, man, block the shot. So I love that. He mentioned that sometimes coaches overcoach offensively. I think that's pretty great evaluation. It takes a coach who's very comfortable to be able to admit that. I think. And I thought that was a great sign. Also talking about, playing or coaching the younger player of today. Yeah. You have to adapt to that. And he's like considered a dinosaur, but here he is, think this might be, what you were talking about with being progressive. He realizes you got to coach these guys today differently than maybe you did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
Balls ass on.
How about that?
That was incredible.
Up right now.
That was incredible.
See what it takes? Go out and get a fucking coach that I can buy into, and I'm in.
Yeah, exactly. And your points, Harry, on him, I think, are so on point because he said exactly that to me. He goes, "We overcoach this game." He goes, He goes, earlier in my career, I tried to control every element of the game. And it's hockey. You're chasing a vulcanized piece of rubber around 200 by 85 ice surface while some of the best athletes in the world are wearing blades on their feet. Like, you can't control it. So stop trying. And he said, the other thing is, you look at it and you go, okay, I want these guys to do what I want. But you mentioned what you do without the puck. That's his big thing.
Yep.
When you have the puck, you know what you're supposed to do because you're controlling the element of desire on the ice. But when you don't have it, what are you doing? What are you doing to make yourself a problem for the other team? If you're standing still, you're making it easy, right?
Right.
So he talks about that all the time. And then the last thing that you mentioned about the younger players, and this is where we always have these conceptions, old veteran coach favors veteran players, doesn't develop. Well, that's not the case with Torts. He's always been a developer. Just look at his last stint in Columbus for this old dinosaur coach. developed Seth Jones, developed Zach Werenski into great players, all-stars. And yeah, they may have ended up being good players anyway because they obviously have talent. But he gave them a lot of responsibility really early. Go all the way back to Tampa in 04. And before that, 99 when he started, and Vinny LeCavalier was 19 years old. Marty St. Louis was 23 or 24, undrafted player. He's in the Hall of Fame now.
Right.
Because he gave those guys responsibility because they did the right things and he trusted them, and then he put them in positions to have success. So,
right.
Again, they may end up being great players anyway, but he's a guy I think that can develop players. And I think the big thing for me, Har, is not only is they have to develop a lot of young players, but they also think the development curve of certain players going in the right direction again, like Provorov and Konechny. And I think he can be a big asset there.
Yeah, totally agree. Great point. Talk about, maybe were you able to talk to some of the players, about what their viewpoint? Because I understand Cam Atkinson really vouched for him to the general manager. Of course, I guess he played with him, in Columbus, right?
For 6 years.
Yeah.
And again, that notion that, he's going to turn an offensive-minded player to a shot blocker and a 14-goal-a-year guy. Well, Atkinson had 41 under Torts and 35 under Torts and averaged over 30 per 82 in the 6 years he played for Torts. So that's not the case. And then, you look at it, I talked to Atkinson on breakup day. So I taped my interview with him, and I'm in a little conference room off of Paul Holmgren's office is where I was taping.
Ah, Homer.
Yeah, and guys are coming in and sitting down, doing a quick interview, and then rolling. But I got done the interview with Cam, and I said, hey, let me ask you about Torts. He hadn't met with the media yet, and he got up, and he walked over, and he shut the door. And I said, from what I understand, I'm pretty sure you liked playing for him. What was it about? And we talked for 15 minutes about Torts. And I've talked to several guys that have played for him. Not every guy liked him. Not every guy.
Right.
But this notion that everybody hates playing for him is bullshit. I talked to Jody Shelley, who played for him for a while, and is a broadcaster.
With the Rangers.
Yeah, played for him with the Rangers, played for him with Columbus as well. And Jody's one of those guys that's known as Bush says he's the best teammate I've ever had. Jody Shelley. Wasn't the greatest player, but greatest teammate. And these guys all go to the wall for him. Yeah, Sean Avery didn't like him. Sean Avery's a schmuck.
Yeah.
Brandon Dubinsky, I think, was poking fun, not being. I think he actually liked playing for him, but it's easy to go, prayer for the Flyers players too, because he's going to be a pain in the ass.
Right.
It's not going to be. He's going to make you uncomfortable.
Yeah, I like that. From as a fan and somebody that has watched this game for a long time. Those coaches are interesting to me. And how about when way back? I think he was only with Vancouver 1 year.
Yeah.
But didn't he go after the coach for Calgary? He tried to go into the locker room to fight him.
Yeah.
Because he thought that he was trying to injure his players or something. I forget exactly what it was, but I think it was Hartley. Was Hartley the coach in Calgary that he wanted to fight? Right.
He went down their tunnel.
Exactly.
And there's video of him going back there with the players.
It's like John Chaney.
Yep. and he is trying to get after because Hartley they went after the Sedin twins.
Oh yeah.
And you didn't do that with Torts.
Right.
I mean, he's a lot of piss and vinegar, man. And
is he still that way? Because that's a long time ago, that Vancouver stint.
I think he's evolved in he's had a lot of self-awareness and changed the way he does things, and has evolved in that way. He readily admits, I've made a lot of mistakes along the way, and that's one of them.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, he's a guy. He is what he is in the sense that he's going to hold people accountable. He's not going to lose that element of who he is because it's what he believes in.
Yeah. So, you brought up Jimmy Butler, and that's one of the things I always loved about him, and continue to. He holds himself and others, including the coaching staff, accountable, and that's a great thing.
That's what pro sports are about. The other thing that he said too was, I thought was really interesting. His awareness of where he is and how he pushes players, and I said to him, elite athletes are used to being pushed. It can't be comfortable. He goes, if my guys are comfortable in my locker room, I am not doing my job.
That's not good. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's going to push them, and there's going to be an identity. And I tell you what, it's going to be entertaining too. Because I think he's a guy. Every time I think he was available, I was always kind of beating the drum to get him here, but it never aligned with he was available and they needed somebody. It never staggered right. Now it did.
Right.
And I'm excited that he's going to be here, and we'll see how it goes.
That's cool. Now they have the 5th pick in the draft, I believe, coming up in early July.
July 7th.
Yeah. Do you have any idea who they might select?
I don't. I'm
Best
not
player on the board.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
do.
Okay.
I grab especially if there's a center or a right-handed D there. That's where I go.
Mm-hmm.
You have need all over the place. It's not a
Right.
player that's going to come in and help you right away. So I get the best player on the board, not the one that's going to get to the NHL the quickest, but the one that's going to be the best player in my projection. So we'll see what happens with that, and what they're able to accomplish this offseason with making some trades. From what I understand, some people I talk to, they're going to be very aggressive and try and improve this roster. I don't know how much they're going to be able to do that, because you're going to have to shed some salary to be able to do it. So we'll see what Chuck Fletcher can accomplish. But obviously, I love the hire of Torts.
Well, it'll be interesting. I'm sure you're probably already doing this. You go back and look at the list of players that have played for Torts in previous spots that are still out there and may be available. Because he's sitting with GM Fletcher right now. Saying, hey, this if we can get this guy, I'd love to have him in my room.
One of my guys.
Yeah,
right?
One of my guys. These older. I'm not going to say. I don't want to say retread, but guys that have been several different places, like Bill Parcells always had this list of guys that, when he jumped ship, he's like, hey, Meggett, you're coming over here with me. Or, it's interesting that way. They want to form their crew.
AV did that with Kevin Hayes.
Sure. Right.
And he becomes like the conduit between the players. And is this AV just being a pain in the ass? They go to Hayes and ask, or is he serious about that? And he can almost be like the translator. He's got that in Atkinson, but he could use more of it, no doubt. And to get more of his culture in that room right out of the jump. And we'll see if they're able to do it, and who those guys might be that he can target. I'll have to go out and look and see if, through the free
Put together a list.
Yeah. So, I'm ready for it, but I still need the break between now and the season, because like you said before, it gets so hectic, and I still have not, because of this goddamn coaching search, I have not been able to unplug yet. Like, I'm not in off-season mode.
Yeah. Well, who do you like tonight? I'm leaning Avs tonight, because
I am too.
I think this Kucherov injury that unfortunately happened late in the third. Yes, I was still watching the game at 6-2 at that point. Is going to be big. That did not look good. Looked like a lower body injury of some sort.
Yeah,
and he went down the tunnel. Like he did not look good. I don't know that he can bounce back and play tonight. They need him.
I think he might play, but I don't know that he's going to be effective. He'll
be diminished.
Point, I don't think is going to play, and I just think that Colorado overwhelms him again.
Yeah, I think so too. I do.
So I think they go up 3-1. They're going back home. They could close it out at the Ball Center coming up in a couple of days.
Yeah.
So
on the Parks app, they're -109.
Who? Tampa?
No, the Avs.
The Avs
Tampa's -112.
Okay, so there's a slight favorite at home. Right. I'm on Colorado tonight.
Me too.
And I'll take McCarr for a 2+ point performance again tonight. Good plus money as well, because that dude's winning the Conn Smythe. He just won the Norris yesterday as the league top defenseman. He is just he became the best player on that team.
Yeah.
Over McKinnon already.
That's incredible. It really is.
McKinnon's fantastic.
And I saw Charles Barkley, who's, he loves hockey, and they brought him on between the first and second period, and he's talking about how he was talking with Rick Tocchet, a couple months ago, and Tocchet pointed out, you keep your eye on this McCarr, and he gave Tocchet all the credit. It was pretty funny. Do you think Tocchet comes in here as an assistant?
No, I think Tocchet likes doing that TV, and from what I understand, the first class flights out of Vegas. He lives in Vegas, and he's enjoying it. It'd have to be a perfect situation.
Well, he's really good at it.
And a head coaching position that would be perfect. He interviewed with the Flyers. He interviewed with a couple of teams, as he did last year. But I think he's really enjoying the TV thing for now, and making a buttload of cash.
He's really good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about they stuff Barkley in there with Messier and Chelios on the desk? They were like stuffed in there like sardines.
I know.
Chelly's like sitting there like he almost felt uncomfortable.
He did. He looked very uncomfortable. Because Chuck just takes over. Regardless of what sport. He was doing the golf, that match thing the other couple of weeks ago where Brady and everybody was playing. He just takes over any broadcast. It doesn't matter what the sport is.
And he immediately becomes the best broadcaster on the broadcast.
Right.
All right, last thing.
Yeah.
It's summertime. And I wanted to ask you this question. What are you listening to?
What is this? A Stapleton song? What are
No,
you
I mean,
listening to?
is that a Chris Stapleton song? I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah, it's one of his bigger hits.
I,
Well,
I'm all over the place musically right now.
yeah, me too. I mean, I listen to a lot of Spectrum radio on Sirius XM, the Spectrum channel,
Yeah.
because it kind of keeps me in the loop on newer stuff. There's a band that they've been playing for the last year or so named Camp, spelled CAAMP, 2 A's.
Okay.
I think they're out of Ohio, I think. And they're kind of folky, you know, like I really like them. Every song that they play on Spectrum, I love. So that's a band that I'm listening to, and I listen to that station a lot. I always listen to Tom Petty radio because he's one of my all-time favorites, and I love the other stuff that they play on there.
Yeah.
You know, when he goes into his archives of, the stuff that he liked listening to in the 50s and 60s and 70s. So I listened to that, but I went down and I put this out on Twitter a week or so ago. I go down rabbit holes, as I know you do too, on YouTube usually. And Thin Lizzy.
Wow.
Was a band that I liked a couple of their songs in the 70s when I was young. The Boys Are Back in Town, obviously the normal hits, but I think they're a really underrated, great rock and roll band, just simple balls out in your face rock and roll, with the dynamic lead singer, he played the bass and he had a great guitar player, and it was just hard driving music. They're out of Ireland. It's just, they're a good band. And I went down this rabbit hole and I'm going through some of these songs, some of the ones that you might not know as well, like Cowboy Song. They were the Whiskey in the Jar, which Metallica redid famously. Metallica really loves Thin Lizzy.
That's why they covered it. Yeah.
I'm going to get you another one here. You may not know.
Rosalie.
Yeah, Rosalie is definitely there.
Or Dancing in the Moonlight's a big
Dancing in the Moonlight, of course.
Yeah.
That goes without saying. But wait, where's this other one here? I gotta find.
Don't Say a Word or Don't Believe a Word is another good one that they had. Waiting for an Alibi.
Waiting for an Alibi. That's the one. Yeah. Great tune.
Yeah, they're a good band. They're
really a good band. And I guess there's a statue over in Dublin. I think they're a Dublin band of Phil. Is it Lynott or Lynott? I don't even know how to pronounce
I think it's
his
Phil
last
Lynott.
name. Phil Lynott. I mean, what an underrated front man
he
was.
Awesome.
I mean, just awesome. So that I did. And Bad Company, I was always a Bad Co fan.
Paul
I've
Rogers.
sort of rediscovered Bad Company again and how great they are. Paul Rogers is phenomenal. Mick Ralphs.
Great singer.
Yeah. Great band.
And
I saw him live twice.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, original lineup.
Little
and
guy
then,
too.
Yeah, Paul Rogers, a little guy with a booming voice. One of the Remember when we did the top 10 list of frontmen? I booted somebody out and put Paul Rogers in.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
I like Phil Lynott too because he was a bass player and a singer.
Yeah.
A little Lemmy-esque.
Exactly. And if you watch some of the stuff, like the live stuff from Nebworth, that festival in the 70s, he on stage, he's captivating. You can't take your eyes off him.
Yeah. That's a great one. Thin Lizzy's a great one. I like Thin Lizzy as well, and it brings you back to like that late 70s, early 80s type thing going on too, which is a vibe. And I've been thinking about, somebody hit me on Twitter and said, who are great musicians in shitty bands? I look at Mark Tremonti. He's a great guitar player. He was the guitar player from Creed.
Oh.
I don't like Creed.
No.
But I love the way this dude plays. And he's got Tremonti, his solo band now and everything. So he's a great one of a great musician, I believe, in a shitty band.
So
maybe we'll have to think about that.
Yeah, I'd have to put some thought into that, because usually if they're a shitty band, I'm not listening to them.
Exactly.
If I think they're shitty, I'm just not even going to care that this guy that was on the drums is amazing.
Yeah, the reason why I know of Tremonti though is because Creed got so big, and I was doing rock radio, so and I was always like, I can't stand this band because I hate the singer. I hate Scott Stapp. It was the singer, but the guitar work and the musicianship was always so good, and I'm like, God damn it. Get him a new singer.
Is there a great musician in Nickelback?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Enough said.
Yeah. Good point, Harry. Let's tell the people about the Parks one more time. Nickelback, good Canadian band, Harry.
Oh,
All
yeah.
the Canadians love him. Love Nickelback. And Our Lady Peace. Do you remember that
Oh,
band?
yeah, I've heard of them. Yeah, I think they had one hit that I remember back in.
Superman's Dead was the name of the hit.
Is that what it was?
Or Clumsy was the other one.
That's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those guys. I remember they came into the radio station I was working at. And good old Canadian Toronto, Ontario boys.
All right.
Let's tell people about the BetParx app. It is available, the new app. It's the greatest casino and sportsbook app you're going to find. Harry loves it. He's going to be pumping that thing tonight for the
Avs. Minus 109.
There you go. I'm going to be hitting it tonight as well for the multiple point players, power play points, all kinds of stuff. It's all there for you. And take it from Harry and I. The BetParx app is everything you want in mobile casino and sportsbook, right in your pocket, right on your phone, like Harry just showed you. Easy to sign up, fun to use, faster to win than ever before. And right now, all BetParx users can use the promo code Jason750 and get a risk-free bet up to $750. Terms and conditions do apply. So download the BetParx app today. You do need to be over 21 in Pennsylvania or New Jersey. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. So we'll see what happens in the next 2 weeks, Harry.
Yeah. Now, if you noticed, I got rid of the mustache.
You did.
I'm back to the tight scruff beard.
Tight.
Because I got a new haircut that I didn't think I got all the hair cut off. I went with the hard part. Right there. You see that? I had the hard
That's kind of what Hetfield's got going on there, huh?
Cut in. Yeah. So I didn't think that would look good with a mustache. So I went back to the scruff beard. So no more mustache.
So you're not going to grow the stash back for the fall like the handlebar?
No, probably not, because I really like this haircut, and so does the old lady. So I think this is going to stay for a while.
Well, you got to reap those rewards for as long as possible while she likes it.
Right.
Ah, nice. Good work. I wish I could get a haircut. That's one thing I miss.
Angela Perfetto is my stylist over at
the fact
Gravity.
That you've got a stylist is
exactly
great.
Right. Isn't it great? Yes.
Wardrobe design provided by for Harry Bays. All right, that's going to put a wrap on episode 26. We'll be back in a couple weeks' time for episode 27. Everybody, enjoy your summer. We'll talk to you in a couple weeks right here on the Odd G's podcast.